What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie. Gonna start a deep dive into covers albums. Yeah, I don't like covers albums. I think the only covers album I've ever bought, I think the only one I actually own is The Spaghetti Incident by Guns N' Roses. I don't like covers albums. But I found a bunch in my local library. That's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to probably check some out on Streaming and on YouTube. But I'm going to try to find. Actually, I do have some covers albums, but they're Cat Power, and I don't put that in the same vein. But I will still. And Flaming Lips. I own a couple Flaming Lips. Never mind. I'm wrong. I own more than the Spaghetti Incident. But I'm going to try to find the best covers album. 100%. It's got to be 100% covers, and not necessarily a covers album where it's like songs have not been released before, you're just covering somebody else's song. These are like established artists, established songs that another established artist are covering. So when you pick it up and you look at it, you're like, oh, I know all these songs from another artist. Not like this is some unknown artist from Kansas City and I discovered him and doing that. Not doing that kind of thing. Or maybe I will. I don't know. But we're going to start off with Styx's The Big Bang Theory. I'm going to try to find the best covers album, and I have a very simple scoring procedure. Every song will either get 0 points or 1 point based on whatever my subjective reaction to it is. And so a song with 10 albums, let's say I like half the songs, that's 5 points. I can give it bonus points based on other factors. And then after I add the songs with points and the bonus points, I'm just going to make a percentage. So if it turns out with 7 out of 10, you'll get a score of 70%. Pretty straightforward. We're starting with the Styx's Big Bang Theory. I just did their studio albums. Now I'm going to do this album of covers. They released this back in 2005. 2005. No Dennis DeYoung, Tommy Shaw, JY, Gowan. Lawrence Gowan is in the band at this point. Chuck Panazzo appears on one track, Todd Zuckerman on drums, Ricky Phillips on bass. 14 songs, and apparently the whole thing came out of the fact that at a Eric Clapton Crossroads Festival, the band covered I Am the Walrus, and I think they might have released it as a single, or anyways, it got some buzz, and they decided, hey, let's do a bunch more covers. So the live version of I Am the Walrus, I'm assuming this is the live version from the Clapton Crossroads things. It's a live version that starts off. And why? Like, if you listen to the albums after this, particularly the last two they released, which all their names, their titles of their albums, all the weird of the stuff. But the ones they most recently did, whose names, The Mission and the one after that, not Crime of the Century, whatever the century or crime, or it's not Edge of the Century either. Whatever the one they did a couple years ago, The Mission and Crash of the Crown. There's some Beatles influence in there. You can hear the Beatles. So it makes sense that they're covering it, though it's weird. Styx doing the Beatles at an Eric Clapton thing. They kind of pull it off musically, but it's kind of a why. Like, it's just weird that the Styx is doing this song of all songs. Almost sounds like it should just be a bonus track, like at the end of the Mission or something like that. It gets really interesting during the everybody smoke pot, everybody, that part is kind of cool. But then they tack on this like rock and roll ending where Gowan, I think it's Gowan doing the lead vocals, comes out and he's like, I am the Eggman. And we get this big rock ending. So can't say I'm a really big fan of it. I think Zappa's more traditional cover of this with the horns and stuff is a little more interesting. Neither one of those covers, I think, improves upon the original, which is just, a classic. If you were to see Styx live and they drop an I Am the Walrus cover, yeah, good listen. But I don't know. It's not one of the ones that's going to get a 1 point for me. Then they cover I Can See for Miles by The Who. That's the second song. And I'm like, of all the Who songs you can pick, you have to pick a top 5 Who song. A song that I think every single member of that band in The Who is so well represented in I Can See for Miles. Like the drumming, those spurts of drumming, the vocal performance, the bass, the restrained guitar, everything about that song. It's like you can't improve upon it. And they pretty much play it straight. And I'm just like, it makes me want to go listen to The Who. So no. Can't Find My Way Home by Blind Faith is the next song. Interesting choice. But as soon as the singing starts and it's not Steve Winwood, I'm like, you just, you could have picked Well, All Right. That would have been a fun little jam for Styx to like rock out on. So the choices are ambitious, but I don't think they pull it off. Is some nice acoustic guitar soloing in this, but it can't save the song. We get a Willie Dixon cover. It don't make sense. You can't make peace. JY is doing this. It needs to be bluesier, needs to be slinkier, needs to be a little more underproduced. This is a big sounding JY type song, way too bouncy. Some nice slide playing in there, some slide guitar playing, but it's just not raw enough for a blues song, and it just, I don't know. We get a Ray Charles cover by way of Humble Pie, I Don't Need No Doctor. Pretty straightforward version of this, if Humble Pie was doing a pretty straightforward version of this instead of, expanding it and jamming it out. Okay. Props for the song choice. Like, I think this is a pretty nice, slightly deep cut, of a band that's not that huge. Nice guitar, little jammy breakdown in it. Not a bad choice, but I think the energy of any given live Humble Pie version of this, of which there's a lot floating around out there, is better than this. This would have been a good one, maybe to have a live version of it to hear, see if they are a little bit looser. Can't say it's a pretty good, I can't say I want to listen to it again, but I admire the choice. They cover the Allman Brothers' One Way Out next. The drums, way too tightly wound. Almost sounds like a New Orleans Iko, Man Smart, like some weird, like we're going to slip into a Not Fade Away vibe. The drumming energy is just way, way too tightly wound. And then again with the vocals. I mean, these guys can sing, but they're not singing in the same way Greg Allman sings. This is a failed opportunity here. Like, I think, like, hearing, like, if you're going to do the Allman Brothers and you have voices like Tommy Shaw's, like a Blue Sky kind of works. Let's hear kind of a longer solo by him. That's kind of cool. Some of those sort of like mid-early 70s, more pop rock Allman Brothers songs, I think suit Styx really well and actually could have been a pretty good decision here. So this one I think is another one I give props for. They cover A Salty Dog by Procol Harum. For a band that likes to sometimes use sound effects in the beginning of the song, the fact that they don't include those like ocean sea sounds in the beginning of this, I'm like, no, that could have helped a little bit. It's a little too polished. It's definitely not as sort of eerie as the original. Also, I think there's a mellotron that's used in the original that just gives it this really nice prog vibe that's not here. I'm pretty sure if there is a mellotron being used, it's not dominant enough. But yeah, no on that. But then we get a run of 3 really good songs. Summer in the City by Love and Spoonful, which is just such a fantastic song. Great cover. Like, it's fun. I like it. Maybe it's just because this song is so good. They're maybe adding a little bit too much production-wise, but it's still like the heart of Summer in the City. Nice wah, festive guitar solo, pretty good. And then Manic Depression by Jimi Hendrix Experience. Excellent choice. Fantastic. Great riff. The band can flex its harder rock muscles. JY sings. The vibe is loose. Yeah, Manic Depression works. I'm all in on this one. And then maybe the highlight, I think I said Manic Depression. No, I think this is the highlight because it's a deep cut. It's kind of a surprise. Leans into the little Beatles vibe that they've been going with, the sort of Yellow Submarine, Magical Mystery Tour vibe. Talking about the Good Times, a Pretty Things cover. Fantastic. We lose some of the lo-fi charm of the original that I think helps, but they're doing it well. The harmonies are fantastic. It's got an almost XTC meets Dukes of Stratosphere vibe. Like, I don't know, the combination of Manic Depression and this, talking about the Good Times, 2 kind of different vibes, but they both work really, really well. So a big fan of that. Then we get a locomotive breath. We start off without the intro. We just drop into it. Just no, like there's almost this shredding guitar that's running through the entire song. I've heard so many locomotive breaths doing Jethro Tull live releases. Don't need another version of locomotive breath. This is another band. So many deep cuts that you could have done something a little more surprising, I think. Imagine if they dropped like the Poet and the Painter. That would have been really sweet. Just pull something out of the middle of like Thick as a Brick. Then the other one that I kind of like, not much to it, pretty straightforward. They cover Find the Cost of Freedom, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young cover. Just kind of short, sweet, should be the last song, works well. They do a cover of Freeze, Wishing Well, pretty straightforward version. Soon as Paul Rogers is not singing, I'm like, okay, don't really do enough to this to make it really stand out. Not the biggest Free fan in the world. I think Paul Rogers is kind of the heart of that, but without Paul, interesting cover, good choice. I like the deep cut. And then the biggest mistake on this album, one they should almost lose points for, is they do a soft, acoustic-y, lighter version. They re-record Blue Collar Man, and that doesn't ever need to happen. There's just no reason for them to re-record Blue Collar Man. It just no. Just no. Just no. So I like 4 of the songs. Summer in the City, pretty true to it, but just good. Manic, I love the vibe. Talking about the good times, probably the highlight. Find the Cost of Freedom. So they get 4 out of 14. But I'm going to actually give them 2 extra points for the song selections. Overly Ambitious, I Can See for a Mile, Can't Find My Way Home. Like, come on, man. No, man. Just don't. Willie Dixon song, pretty cool. They don't do a good job with it, but I like the selection. And then we got a Humble Pie song, a Procol Harum song, Love and Spoonful, The Pretty Things, Free, a CSNY, like short acoustic thing. I think they did a good job picking the songs. I don't know, a looser vibe, different decisions made about how to approach the songs. So it gets 6 out of 14 points, which if you do the math is 42%. So my number 1 right now, less than half successful, but not a complete waste. It's going to be, Styx's the Big Bang Theory. And that's the beginning of a deep dive into covers albums. Yeah. Let's see how this goes. I'm sure something's going to be better than this. But yeah, I might do, all right, that's it. I'm rambling. If you check this out, if you have this, whatever, I am sure I will get recommendations for covers albums to do. I will cover all of them. I'm going to cover all the covers albums. This will be interesting. I'm excited. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Peace. Talk to you later.